Woods Basement Systems is proud to sponsor Cooking Up a Storm.
Welcome back to the morning show. We have another Cooking Up a Storm segment with our meteorologist, Jacob Dickey.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. And it's soup season, right?
Yeah.
We said January was soup.
It is soup season. What are we cooking today?
We are doing soup.
Soup? Because I've already saved the recipe, so I'm ready.
Yeah, I know. I emailed the recipe and I said, hey, Mitchell, we're going to have this recipe for the morning. Prepped them last night, and you saved them. And you've been fasting today?
Yeah, I have been
I'm
fasting today,
fast,
actually.
He says it smells so good.
Right here is where I will break that. That's fine by me, because it just smells so amazing.
That unhealthy.
Right. Okay, no, this is not. This is actually tomato soup with macaroni. And my wife and I had this dish when we went up to Svalbard for our vacation, and it tasted so good. And tomato soup is more of a, I don't want to say a luxury in Norway, because Norway is so far north, they don't get a lot of sunlight. And so
growing
fresh tomatoes typically isn't something to have. So if you get a tomato soup up there, it's supposed to be really good. And this is a recipe that I've adopted based on that tomato soup with macaroni, which we thought just added so much more to it.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by roasting my tomatoes. You can see here I've got my pan already cut, and I've got 1 onion, 1 red pepper, and about 3 tomatoes. You want about 2 pounds. You can do a little more. You can also upsize this. And that's going to be the recipe that we use here. We're going to stick that in the oven. To do that, I need to add some olive oil to it. So you'll see here I'm drizzling some of that olive oil in place. And there we go. We're just going to lightly cover. Doesn't have to be perfect, but that olive oil is going to coat some of my ingredients there, and that's going to help to cook it. We then want to add some garlic.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what I say about garlic?
Dump it all in there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could. I don't have much left.
Be generous.
Be generous. Don't let a recipe tell you how much garlic to have. You put as much as you want. So I'm just going to sprinkle that garlic on there. That's a lot of garlic. Do you think it's enough?
Gosh.
I
will say, the entire morning, the newsroom has been smelling amazing.
Yes, it's because of that garlic and olive oil in combination. Let's go ahead and put a little sea salt on it here and give it a little bit, and then a little bit of pepper as well. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to stick it in the oven for about 30 minutes. The one I have in the oven now actually has been going a little bit longer, but this is going to roast in that oven. And by the power of TV magic, put this one in, and we'll take this one out. And I've had this for about 45 minutes. I want those edges to start to char. You can see it bubbling and boiling there. And it's okay if it's charred. The reason I cut my tomatoes like I do, almost like flower petals, is that moisture in there is going to help steam it and keep it from burning too much.
Okay,
so I have them open-faced like that. Yeah, my onions have a little bit, but that's flavor, folks. That's the good stuff. That's what we like. And so we have that ready to go. Let me turn this here, because now what we have to do is we have to turn it into soup, don't we? This is the part Taylor's excited about. So I've got my big stove pot here. And again, this after 30, maybe 45 minutes, you can see. We're going to take this and add it into my stove pot here. And it may take a little bit of time, but that's okay. We drop it in, and we're going to add some ingredients to help make it a soup consistency. Those ingredients, first off, a little tomato paste. It's going to go a long way here for some flavor. Also, I'm going to do some vegetable broth. And so we'll get that ingredients in there, and it's going to cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. How do we get to soup, though? Any ideas?
Blend
it.
Blend it, yeah.
Crush it, blend it, however.
We're going to use an immersion blender once we get it cooked down even more to go in place. Take a look inside that pot there. See how everything's stacked up nicely in there? It's steaming. It's feeling good. Let's put some broth in there. And use vegetable broth. You can also use chicken broth if you want. That's fine. I like to use vegetable broth. You know,
any difference in flavor for vegetable broth?
You do get a little bit of difference in flavor. It's just personal preference, but you can't go wrong either with this. So I got 32 ounces of broth in there, and then I'm going to add in my tomato paste here, just 1 can of that, and we'll scoop that out, start the cooking process, and let that run for 20 to 30 minutes until it is ready to blend down. Some things that I'm going to do here coming up is I'm going to cook the macaroni. I do that separate, just like I make macaroni at home. I know, Taylor, you make mac and cheese all the time. So you can do that and set that up. And then we're also going to add perhaps a little bit of heavy cream in there to give it some more flavor as well. So that's some things that we'll do, but put that in there. And this is the best part about this recipe. Take all these tomatoes and onions, double, triple it, then make a bigger pot. You can even freeze it, can it, do what you want with it, and you've got fresh tomato soup. And my last thing is, do you know what would make this recipe even better?
More garlic. That's
Basil.
that's my thought.
Basil.
Basil. Yeah, we're going to add some
good.
spices and seasonings in there, too. Let me add that. I almost forgot. Here, there's my seasoning. I've got some basil on the regular. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
Drop that in. Imagine late summer when fresh tomatoes are in the garden and you use those in place of the grocery store tomatoes. They're still good, but there's nothing.
Nothing that beats the garden
Nothing
stuff.
that beats the garden tomatoes. So this is a recipe where you can make it now. Tomato soup in the winter is good, but it's going to go a long way as well with that garden produce once the summer season is here.
I'm excited.
I will say,
Jacob,
tomatoes,
thank you.
Tomato soup year-round.
Can't go wrong with it, right? And wait till you try it with the macaroni. If you've never had it with macaroni, I think you're going to enjoy it.
Alrighty. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jacob. So up next, but first, let's check back in with Jacob. Hey, how are things going?
Yeah, hey, Taylor, I've got some pasta cooking right here now. It's about to pull it out and put it into my soup, and then the big pot of tomatoes as well. Can you smell it in there?
I can smell it. It smells so good.
Yes, so we are getting closer and closer here. Just a few little last things to do here. Coming up, we're going to add our macaroni to our tomato soup. We're going to blend that together and have a delicious tomato soup with macaroni ready for you. That's coming up here in just a bit.
Woods Basement Systems is proud to sponsor Cooking Up a Storm.
Welcome back to the morning show. We're continuing our Cooking Up a Storm segment with Jacob.
Can you smell it?
I could smell it.
Look
it's almost done. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm hungry.
What we did here, the step that you missed is we took the immersion blender and we cooked down even more so that tomato and onion and red pepper in there.
Kind of a paste.
Yeah, it was just ready to fall apart. That blender sped the process up, and now we've got this soup. I also took my macaroni. I cooked it just before it should be done, al dente, as they say.
Okay.
And I dumped that in there because it's still going to cook a little bit in this pot here with that hot soup as well. So it's going to be perfect and ready to go. The last thing that I like to do is I like to add a little bit of cream to it. You can skip this step, and you can use heavy whipping cream, or you can use a non-dairy whipping cream. That's totally fine. I'm going to put just a little bit in there to help with that smooth finish there. And we've got the spices in there. It tastes good, but sometimes that cream goes a little bit of a long way here for us. So but just a little bit in there, about a quarter, half cup. That looks good enough. It does not take much at all. And we'll stir it up and be ready to serve. Now, what's the best way you guys like to eat your tomato soup?
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
You got to have a grilled cheese with it.
I knew you were going to say that. Best thing to do with grilled cheese, this is my other secret we do. We'll make grilled cheese, and we put mayonnaise on the outside instead of butter. You ever use mayonnaise?
I heard that works. I heard that works.
I have used that, yeah.
It is exceptional and delicious there, and ready to go. Okay, I think the soup looks pretty good. I think you've been dying to try it, haven't you?
Dying.
Yes, just absolutely delicious. The smell has a nice color to it. Fresh tomatoes. Imagine 6 months from now when you've got tomatoes coming from the garden and you've got this hot tomato soup in there. There's a scoop. We're going to add a basil leaf on top for decoration. Ladies first.
Presentation matters, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I always say that you eat with your eyes first, so it has to look good.
Agreed.
And Mitchell, Mitchell was asking about the peppers. I use a red pepper. If you use a green pepper in here,
Make it a little bit brown, you said, yeah?
Green and red makes kind of a brownish color, right? That's not going to look as good and appetizing. So that's
you got to know your color wheels here. You got to know your color wheels.
I love it, Jacob.
But the red pepper also adds, there's a spoon for you. The red pepper also adds a lot of flavor to that. And this is a soup that goes perfect with grilled cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what do you think?
I love it. I love it. I'm so cozy.
Forgot my basil leaf there. I'll stick that in there. Yeah, this is great soup. And you can double the recipe. My big stove pot here only was about half full. If you double that recipe, you can have a whole pot of it. You can freeze it, can it, save it, and when you're feeling down, it's a cloudy, cold day, you want to make soup, you've got this ready to go. And that macaroni, too, doesn't that just add so much to the soup?
It adds a little bit of that texture to it, because tomato soup is typically, obviously, super smooth, whereas if you add, some sort of crunch to a soup, or like, mac and cheese, it adds that, kind of a, you have to bite onto something, right?
You know exactly what
I sometimes like a spicy tomato soup, so I'll sometimes put like some sort of like hot sauce in mine.
You can do some hot sauce or even red pepper flakes. We'll take that an extra bit. I tend to like mine not as spicy. I tend to like mine a little bit more with the smooth creaminess. And so there's Taylor dancing there. Put that on your Snapchat, whatever.
It's nice.
As we talk about it, though, that red pepper flake is another way you can add that. You can add jalapenos from the garden. You can add other things into this. But this is a great starter recipe that I think a lot of families like. And we did this in an hour and a half.
Not too long, yeah.
So it's good to go. Taylor, you want the recipe? You already got the recipe, Mitchell.
Yeah, I've already emailed myself the recipe.
Because I emailed the directions of what's going to happen for this segment. But if you want the recipe, give me a little bit of time here this morning, later on this morning or today. I'll have that recipe posted on my Facebook page. You'll find it on WCIA.com for this tomato soup with macaroni. And again, it did not take all that long, and we've got a huge pot of soup. You have leftovers, you can make more. I mean,
I freeze my soup sometimes.
Yeah, exactly right.
Do a slow pour back in.
Do a slow pour in there.
Back in there.
Ooh.
Oh, look at all that.
And it's splashing everywhere, quite a mess, things of that. So we'll have that recipe up. Does anyone remember what Mr. Food used to say?
Ooh, so good.
That's right. That's right.
I miss him. Where is he at? I don't know.
Right.
Well, Jacob, you did it again.
Good soup.
Don't sound so surprised. Every time Taylor's like, "Wow, he can cook!" Right? Just how does that happen? Yeah.
I think you've been a fantastic cook. I mean, the Italian wedding soup was really good. And this, I mean,
do we have time? Do we have time to talk about what next month should be? I don't know what our time is. Any
Let's
ideas?
go for it.
What
I was
next
thinking
week is.
maybe something more desserty, and I was thinking of maybe collabing with a local organization.
Ooh.
That'd be something to
wait
look
and
forward to.
see.
So that's probably going to end up being what the month of February is. But
Valentine's Day?
oh, there's Valentine's
Chocolate?
Day. I forgot about that.
Something with
Gotta get my
chocolate,
I know.
yeah. Something for
I'll help you
Valentine's
out.
Day, I guess.
Just kidding. But yeah, so that's probably what we're going to do during the month of February. And then I'm even thinking ahead, March, April, May, we get to those months. If you've got recipe ideas, things you want to share more, head to my Facebook page, share them. You can share them with Mitchell, Taylor as well. Say, hey, you should make this. We love that. Adam as well. You know, Adam, of course, you know, you like soup too, right?
I like food.
You like food. We all like food. Here. We all love
this food.
Alrighty.
It's good.
Cool.
Jacob, good job. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job. Wonderful.
That's my lunch for the day.
Definitely.
Coming up on the